My name is Emily Mazzini, and I lead our deployment consulting team at Amperity. So for those on this panel or webinar that don't know who Amperity is, we are the leading customer data platform for consumer brands. We help brands accelerate growth by using machine learning to help you build comprehensive and accurate customer profiles. And my team's role specifically is to help brands understand how we can deploy all of those capabilities across their organization to drive ROI in marketing, analytics, and IT, and really to be a partner to our customers throughout their relationship with Amperity. And as Jamie also mentioned, I'm really excited to be here with Ian Dewar today. Ian is the global leader of consumer analytics and enablement for VF Corporation, which owns major brands including The North Face, Vans, Timberland, and Dickies. And Ian is responsible for delivering and enhancing consumer analytics to help increase brand loyalty across the portfolios. And we had a ton of fun preparing for this session together. I've already learned so much from Ian. I'm very excited to chat with you today. Ian, it's great to see you. How are you?
Yeah, thank you, Emily. Yeah, I'm great. I'm in a hotel room in New York City instead of in the World Trade Center in New York City. But I'm happy to be here digitally as well as physically today. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, I'm also in New York City, but in my apartment in Brooklyn, so we are not too far from one another. So Ian, today we're here to talk about how a customer C360 view can drive insights that help shape customer loyalty and their behavior and engagement with your brand. So to set the stage, could you share a little bit about the role that having a good C360 view plays in helping VF Corporation understand and shape customer behavior?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that has always been important to VF, even when we started 120 years ago, but even as we transitioned to the brands we own today, 10 and 15 years ago, was understanding who our customers are and ultimately how they use the product. And as we've evolved to be a lot more digitally focused, that's become increasingly important, and data has become increasingly available. One of the things I like to say a lot is that what our customers do with our product is actually more important than what they bought from us. And by that, we're a very deliberate company. You think of the North Face, we make hiking shoes, backpacks designed for carrying laptops to school, ski jackets for off-piste backcountry adventures. We make tents, we make sleeping bags, we make insulated jackets that have very specific, not requirements, but very specific intended usage, whether that is hiking above the tree line in the backcountry or walking to work in New York City. I mean, I just walked up Fifth Avenue today. We have a store at 43rd Street, and I saw a lot of North Face jackets out on the city. And that's exactly, people are wearing those jackets, exactly what they're designed for. So as we start to kind of better understand our customers, we really want to know how they're using the product that we've made. And Timberland is a good example of that with respect to Yellow Boot. Yellow Boot can be worn by a construction worker. It can be worn by a hip hop artist. It can be worn by someone at their cabin chopping wood. And as we think about kind of what we want to encourage our customers to do, when we think about the next best product for them or the next best activity for us to recommend, knowing how they're using the product is super, super important to us. So behavioral data, when we think about Customer 360, behavioral data has always been sort of a big sort of source of information for us, and always been something that we've been looking for. When I was directly involved in the launch of the North Face loyalty program 9 years ago, it was called VIP Rewards at the time. Now it's called Explore Pass, but same idea. We always included activity-based rewards and consumer events in the loyalty program because it gave us so much rich data. If a customer came to a rock climbing film festival with us, or a customer joined us for a run from one of our stores, it was so much more directional than the fact that they bought a windbreaker or a raincoat from us. And so that actually participation in that in real life participation has always been super important to us. It's just now we've got so many more ways that we can both acquire that data and also ask the customers to self-identify and tell us what they like doing.
Awesome. So it sounds like you spend quite a bit of time and effort getting that behavioral data to really understand how a customer is using it, what behaviors surround the products. Can you tell me a little bit about how you use that? Also, not just to understand what the customers are doing, but to shape it and the way that they're interacting with your brands.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for us, like our marketing at VF, at the VF brands, Vans, North Face, Timberland, Dickies, Smartwool, even down to the smaller brands like JanSport backpacks, has always been very emotional, very experiential, and very emotional. And we aspire to tell stories to encourage our customers to do more. North Face's brand ethos is never stop exploring. At Vans, Vans is directly focused on encouraging originality and sort of customer unique behaviors. It doesn't say we want every customer at Vans to skateboard, we want every customer at Vans to surf, but we want every customer at Vans to feel like they can express their own individuality through creativity. At Timberland, we want our customers to feel a real connection to the environment. I mean, we've made a big effort in using sustainable materials, recycled leather, circular economy. We want our customers to kind of understand the ethos and the utilization of the product. So when we think about where does this data come to life, we want to tell the stories that are most relevant for our customers to encourage them to, in North Face's case, go explore more. And that exploration might be climbing a mountain. It might be going to a museum. It might be taking a photography class. But all of these things, as we let to know our customers better, we feel like we show them activities and opportunities that are in line with the behaviors that they're interested in. They're way more likely to use the product, and they're way more likely to come back and buy something more for us. I mean, I certainly like to say if we can get someone out hiking, we absolutely believe they will enjoy it, and they will want to hike more, and they will eventually come back and buy additional product for hiking.
I'm hearing you talk a lot about the experiential aspects of your products and the emotions and the way that people interact with VF brands. And I imagine, as a bit of an understatement, that's changed quite a bit over the last 2 years. And as somebody who is continually looking at customer insights and behavior, I'm curious, how have you seen customer behavior change across your portfolio in the last 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have been positioned in a unique position with respect to the pandemic situation that a majority of our brands make products that actually are on the uptick because of COVID. We don't make suits. I sat through the Jose Bank guy's presentation, and I imagine 2 years ago, right now, he was very frustrated. So we don't make suits. We make casual shoes. Something like Vans had a massive increase in interest, especially in the first year of pandemic, because people stop buying dress shoes, right? You don't need dress shoes if you don't have to go to work. You don't need dress shoes if you don't go to a wedding. But a pair of Vans to walk around the neighborhood with, or to hang out in, that's a lot more comfortable. And then the direct product, like the outdoor products, that ultra trail running shoes, North Face, hiking, camping, Smartwool, icebreaker, etc. Those are the activities that people gravitated to. We saw a huge uptick in running, camping, hiking, especially when gyms closed, almost 2 years ago. And we've been able to carry that forward. We've been able to really carry that over. The other piece that actually was a nice surprise is that Dickies has seen a big jump in people buying workwear for home improvement. Again, like if you've been to a Home Depot in the last 2 years, it is packed with people thinking about fixing up their houses, and a lot of them buy Dickies pants and shirts to do it in. So, I think we've been in a really good position with respect to making the right product. But we've also really tried to, navigate that with product shortfalls, with dealing with supply chain issues, and also with providing people with that education when they come in and buy a running shoe from us, and we never knew they ran before. Now there's an opportunity for us to really showcase the rest of the running product line to them.
It sounds like customers are purchasing your products more and more, particularly as people are doing home improvement or spending more time outdoors with gym closures, et cetera. But I would imagine with store closures and things like that, the way that they have to buy your products and the way that they have to go find them either online or in the store has changed quite a bit in the last 2 years. Could you share a bit about the way that customers are purchasing these items and any trends that you've seen?
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, I don't think it's a secret. Like there was a mass migration to .com, and like probably everyone else who talked today, our stores were closed initially for 2 to 3 months, and then again, like about 14 months ago, again, kind of heading into November. I don't even know what year it is, 2020, it feels like. And so in November 2020, a number of our stores, especially advanced stores in California, reclosed. But what we've seen is that one, customers still like the store experience, but they're a lot more educated on the product than they used to be. And I'm not saying our customers didn't used to be smart and now they're smart. Really, what I'm saying is that our customers know what to expect. And you know, this migration to .com out of necessity at first, and then you know, out of familiarity, has now prompted people to start their journey online almost 100% of the time. We used to see, you know, between 50 and 60% of our retail shopping journeys, if we talk to our customers, they said they did some research before they came to the store. That number is in the low 90s now. And customers come in not only with an expectation of what they're looking for, but also with availability. They've looked at inventory. You know, we've really accelerated the opportunity for customers to shop how they want: buy online, pick up in store, get delivered to curbside, shipped from store, shipped to store, all of these different opportunities to get the customer their product as quickly as they can. But we've also seen, in terms of customers who do like the shopping experience and come into the stores, they're way better educated on what they're looking for, and they have a better sense of what their first choice, second choice, and third choice is, and they've already checked our inventory, and that is great, actually, and it's made a big difference. And I mean, we're like probably a lot of people, we're still suffering from traffic slowdown. Like I said, I walked up Fifth Avenue today. There are definitely not as many people on Fifth Avenue shopping today as there normally would have been, and as there were last time I was in New York 2 years ago. But what we're also seeing is a pretty substantial increase in conversion, and that increase in conversion actually continued through the summer. So thinking last summer when traffic was up, you know, Omicron wasn't an issue. We were seeing people who really knew what they wanted when they came in, and that's caused us to really start to think about, one, how do we do a better job with retail specific marketing when we identify customers who like to shop in stores? How do we make sure that we are highlighting product that's available in that store? And then secondly, how do we make the stores kind of a more conducive shopping experience for people that want to start that process at home? One of the big things, if you go to any of our stores, especially North Face and Timberland today, you'll see a much larger depth of product where we have more colors, more sizes, more options, as opposed to trying to create this massive breadth of everything we make. And that's been very deliberate. We want to make sure when a customer does look for something in the store and we know it's a product we sell in the store, that as much as possible we have it available when they come in.
What I'm hearing you talk a lot about is there is this initial shift in the way people behaved out of necessity. And over the last 2 years, it's really evolved into changed expectations that are really going to stick with people in the way that they shop and they look for products. How is VF responding to those changes? What types of investments are you making for the future? You mentioned the short-term challenges like supply chain, but it sounds like these types of expectations are going to be with us for the long haul.
Yeah, I mean, I think our bigger investments are around customer understanding. How are we, you know, being deliberate about customer data collection? We have loyalty programs at our biggest brands. How do we continue to accelerate those loyalty programs, and how do we make them as experiential and emotional as possible? You know, we've recognized that we don't have to compete exclusively on price to drive people to our stores. What we can compete on is product that enhances people's lives and fills a need. A want, a need. You know, you don't necessarily need to go hiking, but if you like hiking, and we have the product that you need for it. So you know, we really recognize that the more we know about a customer, the more relevant we can make our messaging, and the more we can help that customer discover additional products, things they didn't know about the North Face or didn't know about Timberland. I'll give you a great example. Running is a great example for North Face. You know, prior to pandemic, running maybe made up 5 to 7% of North Face's sales, but we knew 40 to 50% of our customers ran on a regular basis for exercise or did running races, and another 10 to 15% ran for sort of occasional exercise. So we have a huge penetration in runners. They just weren't buying that running product from us. This is now opening up this opportunity for us to help sort of our customers better understand, and the more data we have on our customers, but the more deliberate we are in asking our customers to tell us what they're interested in, because we've had to accelerate some of these direct marketing tools and customer understanding tools. Now we can go back and actually be more deliberate in our communication up front, say to our customers, tell us what you want, and we will do our best to fulfill that. We'll show you more of the content, product, experiences that you're looking for, because now we have those tools to do that.
That feels very much back to the yellow boot example that you shared at the beginning of this session, where you can buy one product and people can use it for a lot of different things. And it sounds like you're just seeing that across more and more categories now, where you have the one product, but there's a lot of information and other products surrounding that informs what the customer is actually looking for.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I mean, I think on the product side of things, we're also doing a better job now of understanding, if you think about 3 or 4 different types of behaviors, what not only the next best product for that customer is, but also by talking with the customers, we're understanding what kind of gaps we have in our product line. And by using consumer data and what consumers tell us they're interested in, and what they're interested in sort of buying and using, helps us also identify kind of where we need to heavy up some of our product assortment going forward.
When we think about kind of this new world of a blended experience between e-commerce and retail, you spoke a lot about the initial upfront information gathering online, how that shapes what people are looking for in the store. What do you think is on the horizons for brands seeking to do that blended experience really well?
I think the evolution of how customers identify themselves in stores is going to be something that brands can do. I mean, I know we're talking about it, brands are going to continue to do. And I think I would say, so I was supposed to be at NRF this week. I didn't go because I was concerned about how many people were at it. But one of the things I remember from previous years, say 3-4 years ago, there was a lot of talk about app to clienteling integration, and a number of vendors were proposing, hey, if your customer has the app, when they walk in the store, we can ping an associate and put their photo on the iPad, and they won't even know that it happened. And all of a sudden your team will have all these pictures. And I think the level of sort of opt-in exposure that customers are willing to accept now, they don't want someone walking up to them with a picture of them on an iPad and going, are you John? Because it just pinged my iPad with your name. What they actually want is to be able to identify themselves when they go in a store and get a unique experience. I think about loyalty from a perspective and where the retail industry is versus the hospitality industry. If you book an airline ticket, they know your status the moment you book that ticket. 60 days before you go on your, no one books 60 days, 45 days before you go on your flight, they know if you're gold, platinum, super elite. Hotels, same thing. At retail stores, we still ask the customer, are you a member of our loyalty program, at the very last moment, like literally after we ring up their products sometimes. So they come up, they put all their stuff on the cash register, you zap it with the gun, and then we say, are you in our loyalty program? And then it pops on, we go, oh, you're one of our best customers. And so as we think about ways for customers to self-identify earlier, and we encourage them, and I think this idea of inventory everywhere, endless cart, helping the customer find what they're looking for, all of that helps the customer have a better shopping experience. And I think about kind of not only what we're trying to do, but as we think about this kind of buy anywhere, get delivered anywhere, pick up anywhere mentality, we've got to do a better job of encouraging the customer to tell us who they are when they come in the door, and not at the very last moment of purchase.
Well, I think hearing you speak about what a good shopping experience and how to deliver that is, each individual is unique, and that might be a little bit different for everybody depending on who they are, how frequently they shop with you. When you're making those investments, how do you think about making sure that you're targeting the right people and investing in experiences that will really drive value for your best customers?
I think that's somewhere where CDP is super powerful. And the ability to really micro segment out both targeted messaging, targeted content delivery, as well as analyzing your shopping behavior really helps to create kind of a clear understanding of who your customers are. But also, as you think about kind of the goals of the brand and where the consumer insight work meets the consumer analytics work, that's really that sweet spot of understanding who are we targeting, how are they responding, what is the halo effect of that targeting work, and who's ultimately buying our product. And I'm not saying that we would ever say, no, we don't want someone to buy the product. But as we craft out specific messaging and specific products for a group of customers, we really want to be able to target that group, look for people who behave like that group, and then evaluate the results. And that's where something like CDP is super powerful. That if we're targeting women 25 to 35 with sort of an outdoor fast hike product, we want to be able to track how well it's working, who's actually buying that, whether they're using the product, whether they're telling us that it's increased their kind of interest in hiking through our loyalty behavioral data, and whether they're coming back and buying more product. And that's where that ability to create some of these micro segments for outbound and for analytics is super important to us.
So you've been talking a lot about in the CDP, right? It's very important to have not just who the individual is, but a lot of information around who they are, what they bought, and particularly for you, why they bought it. Because the product can be used many different ways. And to get really that holistic view of the customer, that's a pretty high bar. And you mentioned for consumer experience in particular, that exposure to opt status is really important to start collecting more and more. I'm curious, when you think about your CDP and that holistic customer profile, what's the next frontier or the next kind of set of data that you want to prioritize together that will help you further a lot of the initiatives that VF is investing in?
I mean, I think it's the continuation of the behavior. One of the gaps that we identify at VF is that we only have one segment of what the customer needs. If you think about North Face skiing, we don't sell skis, we don't sell boots, we don't sell helmets. We did a collab with Smith, so we do sell goggles, but very few of them. Camping, the same thing. If you're going to go camping, yes, we can sell you a tent. Yes, we can sell you a sleeping bag. Certainly, we can outfit you in all the clothing, footwear you need, but we don't sell pots and pans and stoves and mattresses and food and all those other things. So customers need to go elsewhere. We think about the same thing with respect to the other brands. So trying to fill in that utilization gap of getting customers and actually engaging with them in real life. It's a big part of our initiative going forward. We have, again, looking forward to coming out of COVID restrictions. We have a big event plan across multiple brands to go out to where our customers are. And not just wait for them to come to us, and not just have events around stores, but to actually have events in places that people want to go to, whether that is surf contests, skate contests, for snowboard contests for Vans, outdoor rock climbing events for North Face, or environmental events for Timberland. We really want to be out there, and we want to meet our customers as much as possible and give them that opportunity to come and engage with us or with some of our partners in a way to ultimately use the product we make. And so filling that gap is probably the biggest hurdle for us, because we don't have the full breadth of shopping data that we would have if we were an REI or a Macy's or something like that.
I think you're hitting on a really important point about the breadth of things that you could do with the CDP, and all the different actions that you can take from the insights that you pull from that. I think when you think about CDPs in the market, a lot of the classic use cases are around what we've been talking about. So understanding your customers, targeting them in the right channel. But I'm hearing you talk about kind of this whole other set of things, like how do we know geographically where to go for an event? Who are we attracting there? What partners are we bringing to the table? Curious to hear a little bit more about that insights process and how those decisions are made?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we identified a few years ago, and this is going to sound logical to everyone, but is that people in different parts of the country buy different products. People in New York like grays and blacks, and people in San Francisco buy yellows and reds. What is considered cold in Dallas is different from what is considered cold in Minneapolis. And there's different styles in different regions. And as we start to kind of have better access to our sell-through data, both at wholesale and of course through our e-commerce and our retail network, we're starting to realize how important regionalized product assortment, regionalized messaging, regionalized sort of activity opportunities really is. And we want to treat our customers more in line with what kind of is available to them. Yes, of course, localization of events makes sense. That I think we're all beyond the idea of sending an email out and saying, hey, we have a running race in San Francisco. Oh, we're going to tell everyone in the whole country to come to our running race next weekend. But going beyond that, we also want to be able to stay in front of regional trends as much as possible and kind of regional seasonality. I mean, one of the most interesting things we found, and this is relevant for North Face, but also JanSport, Kipling, Vans, is that schools start up in vastly different time periods across the United States. The earliest schools go back is first week of August across the Southeast. And the latest they go back is Labor Day weekend. And so all of a sudden you have a 4 to 5 week gap between when kids start school and universities start over the course of about a 4-week gap. And that translates directly to when parents and sort of young adults are out buying things to go back to school, whether that's hooded sweatshirts, Vans, backpacks, especially. And so if you think about, a national campaign to promote backpack sales, do you start that, 2 weeks before the first schools go back, or do you start that 2 weeks before New York schools go back? You have to be able to deliver that at a regional level, and that's what customers are expecting. They expect you, if they provide information to you, they give you their email address, they give you their SMS number, they expect you to at least deliver some relevance back to them. Otherwise, poof. I mean, the penalty now is not necessarily a complaint or an opt-out. It's simply they're going to ignore you. And that's potentially even worse.
Right. Customers expect to get value from the information that they're getting back. And when it's not the two-way street, I'm sure you'll very quickly find that you're getting a lot less self-volunteered information.
Yes.
And I guess as a side note, I would have loved a pair of Vans shoes in middle school. That was like the dream for me. Sounds like that's still in play for kids today.
That is still very, yes, that is still a very popular middle school accessory right there. Absolutely true.
Some things never change. But I think you're hitting on another important point, right? It's one thing to know all of those regional differences and be able to explain those through what you see in the customer data. It's another thing entirely to help communicate that to the other parts of your org and the brands who are actually executing that messaging and making that come to life. Could you share a little bit about how you approach that?
Yeah, for sure. So we meet with so at the VF level, we really focus on the enablement of data for the individual brands, and we meet on a quarterly basis with all the brands with their sort of heads of e-com, heads of analytics, and really help understand what they want to know about their customers and also kind of what they want to do about that. So thinking about it's so here's what happened. So what does that mean? What's next? How are we going to take that and do something with it? And we've really evolved our reporting to be more around how do we learn from what happened and how do we adjust that, whether that is, next week, next month, next quarter, or next year, but also how are we constantly thinking about how we become more relevant. Something like CDP, because of the ability to do so much filtering, whether that's just for, you said CDPs aren't just for targeting. Absolutely. I mean, one of the things we really like about it is the ability to create kind of very, very quick and easy reporting in terms of being able to look at audience size, location, changes in behavior, reaction to outside influences. I was talking about schools, but another dramatic outside influence is weather, and that affects not just the North Face, affects a lot of our brands, and thinking about kind of how do we take advantage of whether either upfront before it happens or immediately after it, the ability to turn around and send an email message or create a campaign specific to a zip code that recently experienced a snowstorm and highlight, gloves and hats is a great tool that we could turn around and do that in 24 hours, whereas weeks, years ago it would take us a week to do that. And so being able to combine both, direct consumer data and other readily available data is really a nice addition there. And using that, whether that's for reporting, kind of evangelizing what our customers are doing across the organization, or going back to the various marketing tactical owners and talk about targeting, both of those are available when we have more access to data and we're able to combine more data sources in one location.
That's fantastic. I think you're hitting on another important point too. There's a lot, you build a CDP, it's a great asset to have in your organization, but to get the best value, it's really about evolving it over time and continuing to add data. When you see things like targeting after a storm are really effective, and you've measured that, and you've seen that it's something that you want to do again, you're always growing and evolving that view of the customer and the data you have about where they lived. Keep doing more and more things like that.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, and I really do think that the evolution of consumer data is going to be very opt-in oriented, very deliberate, and brands that win in this space are going to be the ones that are the most upfront with their customers. They get the most data from their customers because the customers trust them to give it to them. And there's a fair exchange, but that fair exchange is customer tells you a little bit more about him or herself. Then the brand uses that to better understand and present product or stories or opportunities to the customer that are directly in line with what that customer is looking for. And that's really that opportunity to take behavioral data, directional data, shopping data, maybe even third-party data, but also that first-party data, or whether you want to call it zero-party data coming directly from the customer. That is by far the most powerful piece of information we can get. And like I said, 5 minutes ago, if we don't act on that, the penalty is the customer loses interest. The penalty is irrelevance. And so the onus is on us and on brands to get to know our customers better, but also respond to what they're asking us for.
Yeah, I love that term, the fair exchange of information. I think it's so important as we now have the tools to know a lot about customers and store their information. That trust between a customer and a brand is so important. And you mentioned earlier, particularly for the companies in the VF portfolio, that emotional connection and the experience is so important. And trust seems, like a very logical part of that as well.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, that's been the sort of ethos of the marketing from the VF brands, even before VF bought a number of them. And I would imagine that was even part of the decision process in buying some of these brands, was because they have such a clear sense of purpose. That's very important. And it's very important for us. And I feel like we have some level of responsibility as the stewards of this data to not, sort of abuse it and create sort of unnecessary data collection or unnecessary targeting, when our goal is really to help the customer find product to make them enjoy their life better. And I say this, I don't want to sound too altruistic, but like, you're not going to see a message from a North Face, from a VF brand that says, oh, you bought this product last year, get the newest one in this season's hot new color, burnt orange. Like, that's not our way of messaging. Our messaging is very much around, we believe you're using this product for this use. Here's some other ways that you can enjoy what we think you're doing.
Great.
Although burnt orange is apparently a big part of our I was just at our store. There's a lot of burnt orange in there this year, so apparently it's cool. But the point is very much like we're trying to be very deliberate in how we grow, and we're trying to be deliberate in how we grow by presenting product that our customers can absolutely use, and encouraging them to learn how to use it if they don't know that.
That's great. Well, I will say I have seen a lot of burnt orange out there this season, so you're right on the money with that one.
Apparently it is the hot new color.
So Ian, as somebody who spends a lot of time on data, looking at customer trends, enabling the organization, what do you think is next for customer behavior in 2022?
I mean, I think customers will continue to have more control over kind of what they buy, where they buy it. You know, I think the opportunity for customers to start their customer shopping journey anywhere they want, and less friction sort of in that shopping process. And I see that retailers are already moving towards that. If you're in a store and product isn't available, there's a myriad of ways to get it. They can ship it from another store. They can ship it to your house. They can check the e-com inventory. They can pre-order it for you. They can reserve it for you when it comes in 2 weeks. And I think continuing to say to the customer, your satisfaction and your convenience is more important than our convenience as the seller of the product or as the merchant. And I think that's really important. And I think this continuation of exchange of information for relevance and for personalization is going to continue. And I think personalization will get better, but I also think the brands that will be really good at it are the ones that are the most deliberate and upfront and honest about it. And I think that's really this we have the opportunity to help sort of guide the discovery for new products. Of course, we would like our customers to buy product from us, but we would also like them to really use it. And that piece is super important. And with so much information available, loyalty in terms of brand loyalty, and I don't mean loyalty program membership, I mean real brand loyalty is going to start with trust. And customers are going to trust the brand to make product that works. They're going to trust the brand to fix mistakes that happen, and they're going to trust the brands to treat them and have a conversation with them like you would with someone you knew. Because as customers provide that information, they expect brands to actually know them, and not just kind of funnel that into some sort of logic derivative computer that spits out, dear insert name here, we think you will like product A, B, and C.
Personalization is something that I think almost every consumer brand wants to do, but in practice, it's really difficult to execute, even if you have all of the right insights. And you brought up a point that I thought was great. It's being deliberate really is the key to being successful at that. So I was wondering if you can share more. When you say be deliberate about personalization, how have you seen that show up in VF, and what does it look like when it's effective?
Where we're having the most success with personalization is actually in product categories and not in individual products. Again, because of the emotional sort of messaging behind how we communicate with our customers, I don't imagine you'd ever see an email that had like a 9x9 Brady Bunch box of products that says, buy one of these 9 things, you'll love them. But what we're realizing is that if we focus more on the category of product that the customer is looking for, they're not going to penalize us if we show them, someone's interested in hiking, we show them a boot, a backpack, and a jacket. If they don't need a backpack, they're not going to penalize us for showing them that. But if we show them something completely irrelevant that they're not interested in, and so for us, starting to think about kind of what is the right collection of products and how do we make those product recommendations. It's not down to the individual jacket, it's more to the category of jacket. And that's been a lot more powerful for us. I think that's allowed us to get customers into the right category and even discover categories that they didn't necessarily know we made before.
Well, it sounds like, you need to figure that out through testing and learning what's actually the right product hierarchy to personalize with. And the data and what you have in the CDP, even picking when I do analytics or create audiences, what's the right approach is so important.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I see we have moderator back on, so I think we're running out of time. But the other thing I would say, that maybe the last thing I would say is that we also believe and want to test into more of this, that the more we know a customer, the more we can actually get outside of product recommendations and focus more of our personalization around content delivery and experience delivery, knowing that if we show people who are interested in skiing more ski videos, more ski photos, they're more likely to come back and look for skiing product on their own. We don't have to put the product in front of them. And I think the better we know a customer, actually, the less product we have to promote to them.